Sahara Rose also needs no introduction. She is a brilliant mind and a beautiful heart. She's such an inspiration to so many people, carries her heart in her sleeve, is so giving, loving, and intuitive. Truly one of the brightest lights we have at this moment in time, in the sense of she inspires just by being and is completely herself, authentically, with no masks. She has no fear of being who she is. A podcast host herself, inspirational speaker, author, teacher, guide, mystic, Ayurvedic connoisseur, and many, many more hats. We dive into topics of the Rose Dieta, her journey of heartbreak into the metamorphosis, and also the phoenix rising of who she is, and now singing that song coming from immense heartbreak and really transitioning and inspiring, becoming more of yourself. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and this one was one of my favorite conversations. We went everywhere together, but we got to the point of the heart. Hope it inspires you, and thank you for listening. Okay, well, wow.
Here we are on your podcast, baby boo.
That's right. 3 years later. Wow. And you have undergone a massive metamorphosis.
Shape-shifting in real time.
That's actually right. And you've been shape-shifting for your whole life.
Aren't we always shape-shifting?
Are we? Are we collectively shape-shifting?
I think we're always shape-shifting, but there's time periods where we're shape-shifting faster. But I wonder if once you start to allow yourself to move into that flow of shape-shifting, if like this just becomes your new normal. Because I'm like, holy shit, I'm such a different person than last year. But I'm like, but I guarantee you I will say that next year. And I'm like, am I just on this new frequency of evolving faster? Or am I just kind of in like the laundry machine right now? I don't know.
And yet, I think most people stay comfortable. I think actually in preparation for today, I was thinking of you, and I was like, wow, she just puts something in her mind and creates it like that, right?
Yeah.
Like you're doing music now from writing books on Ayurveda into, everything else that you've done. And here you are creating music from your heart, from this transformation that you've undergone. How do you do it? How do you put something in your mind and create it with your heart?
It's interesting because my friend observed, she's like, wow, you really run with things fast. And I believe that we spend a lot of time in this like, should I or should I not? The word should is the most toxic word. When we say the word should, we're literally putting poison in our bodies. It's like the little girl in us that's looking at our parents. Did I do it right? Should I this? Should I that? Do I get a pat on my back? There is no such thing as should. The reason why we take so long to make decisions is because we're under the illusion of believing that there is a right or wrong decision. Instead of understanding that decisions are like waves. It's like you make one decision actually leads to another. No decision is final, right? Like that decision guides you to something else, guides you to something else. And when we realize that, then we're not so attached to, is this the right or wrong decision? Because we realize, well, I'm drawn to this. I don't even want to put the word decision because it feels so like heavy.
Big.
I'm drawn to this new version of me, new career, new home, new friend, new relationship, new whatever the thing is. That means there's something there for me. And the only way that I can know what it is by following the flow. And at the same time, being aware and being present along the way, like what feels sticky, what doesn't feel true, because those are the little things that, you're kind of already feeling the other side of the wave before you get into the wave, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I really want to do this thing, but I'm afraid of that thing. And it's like, that thing will happen. That thing will show up. But there will be a bunch of other things that show up along the way. And if the energy and the momentum is still there, it's always worth following the wave. And the beauty is once you learn how to navigate waves, it's like, it doesn't need to take so long, right? Like, let's say you're interested in being in a relationship with someone, dating someone. You're like, should I date them? Should I not? Should I date them? Should I not? Just that amount of time that you would have spent on like mentally creating an idea of what the relationship could be is like, you could just like really deeply get to know them and like have these really vulnerable conversations at the beginning. And what could have taken you 1 or 2 years to figure out, you could figure out in 2 days. And then you rode the wave and it was just like a little like, boom, it's like a little like microwave. Microwave. Yeah.
Whoa.
And so I feel for me, when I feel these waves, I'm like, look, I don't know. I don't know where it's taking me. I don't know where it's leading me. I know for sure it's never the final destination, but I know that spirit is propelling me in this direction right now, and we'll see what wave comes next.
Wow. How the energy of regret, for example, do you ever, I mean, I'm sure you don't, or do you? Like, do you make a decision? Do you go with the flow? Do you stay? And then do you ever look back and it's like, oh, I should have done that differently?
Again, the word should, if I ever say that word, I start to actually feel sick. So,
Sorry. Oops.
so notice how prevalent
Yeah.
it is. And it actually became really obvious to me when I sat with ayahuasca in Peru. And anytime I was asking the medicine, should I this, should I that, she would have me like dry heave.
Wow.
So it was like literal poison, you know? So it's like, I actually like feel like a jolt when I even hear that word. Right. So no, I can't have a regret because that's again, insinuating that there was a right or wrong decision. There are decisions that I make that I may unmake, right? Like, for example, last year I had an idea of moving to Portugal. And, you know, I had never been to Portugal, but I was like, I want to be like dancing on cobblestone streets to like kizomba music. And, you know, it was what I so deeply desired, had a lot of the qualities I desired. However, I went there and after like, not even, I was there for a month or so, but very quickly on, it was just like that energy of karma where it's like things aren't really working. Like my bag got lost. Like it was just not flowing. And I kind of knew within 24 hours, but I was like, well, let me keep trying. And it was just not it. However, me going to Portugal led to me meeting the co-producer that I work with on music, you know? So it's like I was drawn there. I didn't know why. I thought it was to live there, but it was actually just to meet one person. You know, so it's like follow those inclinations because there's such an intelligence to it.
And those are your inclinations, your heart, the should, the good, the bad, all of that comes ancestrally, childhood. That's probably the drive heaving is how many times have we heard that from like childhood? Like you should do this, you should go there.
Yep.
And then here you are following your heart, following your inspiration. And I think most people have a hard time doing that to like really feel into their timeline, what it is that they're really here to do. And you just learned so much from this time of sitting with Rose around boundaries and energy leakage. Is there anything in your heart that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, so I was in Guatemala for 2 weeks studying Mayan womb healing with indigenous elders. So Mayan womb healing is the practice of literally like a deep stomach massage where you actually move your organs back into place. So for a lot of us women, our uteruses are dropped too low or tipped. And not only does that make it difficult to get pregnant, but it can lead to a lot of like psychosomatic issues. So for myself and for several of the women who were in the training, our uteruses, our wombs were quite low. And when I tuned into it, it was like from years of denying my maternal energy that I literally was like pushing away the idea of being a mother. So I was like literally like pushing down my womb of like, no, I can't be a mother. There's so much liability to that. So much can go wrong. I won't have my freedom. Push away, push away, push away. That I'm literally moving down the part of me that can do that, which will definitely make it more challenging to get pregnant. So I learned how to literally scoop my womb up, where you go very, very deep into your stomach and exhale, and you're literally scooping and bringing your uterus back up while simultaneously we have a heart of our stomach. For most of us, the heart of the stomach is too high, you know, because we're not fully in our, you know, it's interesting because Ayurveda has the same thing. We call it a fire. You're not fully in your internal fire. You're scattered. You're in your head. You're not like digesting life, you know, and we struggle with digestion. What are we having a hard time metabolizing in our lives? You know, are we digesting our emotions? Are we digesting our experiences? Most of us don't process anything. You know, we just go from one thing to the next and we don't sit at the end of the day and just even process like, what happened today? Like, how did I feel today? But that's where we get the wisdom from. It's from those moments of like digesting and processing our experience. If we don't do that for so long, of course, our digestions are going to suffer, you know? So you learn how to not only bring up the womb, but bring down this heart of the stomach. So you're in your full power, your digestion and your womb together, which is your energy of full creation and the fire to make your creation happen.
Wow. So we go back to making things happen.
Making things happen, because that's what we are. Our wombs are powerhouses of creativity, of life force. Like, yes, they're a hologram for printing humans, but they also are our, for so many of us women, we learn meditation through a really masculine lens, like guided meditations where it's like someone else in a different time, space, reality. Like it's just, I think it's a good starting point, but ultimately for me, it's not even like meditation, but it's been more like contemplation, just like sitting with myself and thinking things through, having those conversations with myself, that's when I allow the space for these insights to come through. So after doing this 2-week training in Guatemala, it was interesting because one of the women there, she's like a medicine woman of dietas. So dietas are an ancient indigenous South American practice of working with one plant, a non-psychoactive plant, and sitting with that plant's consciousness for 2-3 week period of time, traditionally done in silence in the jungle. So traditionally you're like, especially in some traditions like Shipibo tradition, you're not even making eye contact with people. And you're eating like very simple, bland foods, like just, boiled vegetables, no salt, just as minimal everything as possible. So the plant's consciousness is the most prevalent in you. And the deeper you can do that, the more you will like actually really feel the plant. However, for me, I was coming back to LA where I live. And she said I could kind of do this like urban dieta where I'm like here in my home, but I wasn't in contact with people. I wasn't texting people. But I wasn't like, I would like go on walks. I made eye contact with people, but it was like an in-between. And it's so crazy because at first I was like, I don't get it. So like basically you're drinking rose tea, you're using rose tinctures, you have roses in your home, you meditate on rose. But I was like, I don't like, how is it going to do anything? I didn't fully believe it. This dieta was just as powerful as ayahuasca, San Pedro, like any other psychoactive medicine. In fact, maybe even more because it was integrated in my life. So it's so interesting because when you make a contract with a plant of like, I'm going to work with you, the plant starts coming through. So like the first day I did like a rose ceremony where I got roses and I like honored and I like opened up the portal for this dieta. And I started to just like notice my thoughts. And again, these are my thoughts in my own voice, the same kind of thought pattern I have. But it was like, notice how the rose petals always unfold and you learn things time and time again. And it's like all these like rose teachings. And I'm like, okay, like this is a different consciousness. And I started to just get all these different downloads. So the rose is like the most high vibration plant on earth, That's why, Goddess Isis and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, they're all of the rose lineage. And it's interesting because when I was 23 years old and I took on the name Sahara Rose, which appeared to me in breathwork, it was like the rose codes were coming through.
Ooh,
and I created my sacred mystery school, Rose Gold Goddesses. So I've always been drawn to the rose, but I've never like dietaed with it. So the rose is divine feminine, it's beauty, it's grace, it's unfolding, but it's also boundaries. It's also like energy leakages. And that was really so much of what came through. So, I mean, I have a whole like notes thing on my phone of so many insights, but I'll start with one that's really actionable: voice noting. A lot of us who are I would consider myself an extroverted person. I love human connection. I love friendship. And I don't see my friends often. A lot of my friends don't live in the same place. I'm traveling, they're traveling, but I want to stay connected to them. So I got into this habit of voice noting people, sending them long voice notes with updates of my life. And then they would, a few days later send me an update of their life. And then a few days later, I would send an update of my life. And then a few days this. I realized that I'm creating all these open chords, essentially. These imagine if we had a conversation in real time. I'm like, hey, Manuela, this whole thing happened in my life. How are you? And then a few days later, where my like life has shifted, I've shifted. You didn't even listen to it by seeing like my voice. You didn't see my face. We didn't, and now you're responding and you're in a completely different reality and you're 2Xing my voice and you're actually just kind of getting back to me because it's on your to-do list and you don't even really want to,
Wow.
and now you're responding to me and now I'm like, oh shit, she responded. What did I say on that? Oh, everything's changed again. Okay, now I have to update her on all these other changes. It's like, we're like being weathermen. We're like just updating people on our lives. We're reporting our lives. And it's this social media consciousness of we're watching each other, but not being with each other.
Wow.
Like we think that connection is I'm watching your stories. That's spectatorship. So much of our connection today is being spectators of one another. This whole concept of social media is I'm subscribed to your TV show. You're subscribed to my TV show. That's us entertaining one another. Mm-hmm. And then it also showed me that when I voice note people, I'm now adhering myself to that reality. Especially when it comes to something like that's very in flux, like dating, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say I sent you an update and I'm like, oh my God, I just met this guy and I'm so excited about him and this and that and I can't wait and da-da-da-da. And then a few days later you hear it and then you respond and I actually learned something else. Now I'm like, oh shit, now I have to like re-explain everything and like, no, he actually was this and I learned that. And you're like, oh my God, thank God. Because you're just going to agree with me because you're my friend. But then maybe I learned something else. I actually now like him. And now I'm like, I have to like bail him out of jail. And I'm like, no, he actually wasn't so bad. It's like this. And it's like, now I'm doing all this like work to like keep you and you don't actually really care. You're only doing it to be my friend. And it's like, it's actually not really serving anyone. And I noticed that when I would say something in a voice note, then it would become like a truth. It was like putting in like an emerald tablet, but it's not. It was just a thought, an emotion I had in a moment in time, And again, like, why do we feel this need to report everything that we do, especially as women?
Perhaps the self-doubt also, right? We're looking for that validation. I find myself doing the same, kind of sharing where I am with partners or, relationships, friendships even. And I feel like, is that part of like that needing to be validated or needing to some support? Yeah.
Yeah. I think, a big thing for me was that I didn't fully trust myself. I didn't fully trust, especially when it came to after my divorce. It was like, can I even trust who I'm dating? Like, I don't even know anything about dating. And like, I have all these intuitive friends. So like, let me ask them what they think about this person's aura. And like, let me have them pull cards and like, let me check in with the astrology of what's going on. And like, all of these spiritual tools that were outside of me that were actually the thing that was holding me back from using my own intuition.
And fully surrendering to them, fully giving yourself to
because the truth is time will tell all. Yeah. Instead of like me asking a million people what they think of some guy by a picture, me going on one date with him will tell me a lot more than that.
Especially for you, which your intuition is on point.
Right. Yeah. But I just feel that a lot of us women, it's onefold, we don't trust ourselves. Twofold, it's how we connect, how we know to connect. We feel like it's like weird to not. And I noticed for myself, it was like part of it was like, I want to just share all of it. So like, yeah, we have something we can talk about together, but it's like at the detriment of me not using my intuition anymore. Right. And like, you can just have like deep conversation with your friends. It doesn't need to just be reporting, the latest on your dating life and the latest on your colleagues' drama. It's like just really shifting the vibration of the conversations that we're having. So that is something I'm like really committed to no longer doing. And it's crazy because me and my best friend Rosie would send each other like 20-minute long voice notes every single day.
Wow.
Like, and it was like, so, but then we would never see each other in real life. And when we see each other in real life, it's almost like we're talked for an hour already and every single day that, but like not even on a Zoom or not even on a phone call, And so something I shared with her, and there was like a fear in me of like, how's she going to take it? Is she going to feel like abandoned? Because in friendships, you have like a pattern, right? And then if someone changes the pattern, it's like, am I still safe in this friendship? Do you still want to be friends with me? Or is this like your slow fade away, And I just shared with her, I'm like, girl, like, I actually want to see you. I want to like, when we see each other, we have stories to update each other about. We can have these conversations rather than this like ongoing, like, what did you do today? What did I do today? And, I do understand when women are single, like you lose having that from a partner. So it is helpful to like have someone that you're like in touch with and sharing what you're doing and all of that. But it's even like questioning like, why? Why do we even feel the need to? And also like, it just goes so like, I've had my friend, she's been staying with me for quite a while now. And it's like, we actually want someone to be with us rather than to like report to us. Like even just being in silence with someone is so much more healing than it is to have an hour-long voice note conversation with someone.
I feel like we've lost that ability to be in silence with people. Like that feels uncomfortable now that there's this age of information where we're constantly music. That's one of the biggest things plants taught me, is to be alone with myself, to like slow down and wow, the mind is so strong, and then quiet that down. And then doing that with somebody else is so powerful because you're attuning to the energy. You're not really needing, we have that capacity. If we sit here quietly, we could be probably talking to each other without words. Right.
Yeah, I noticed because my friend she was doing the diet, then she stayed with me. And at first I was like, I don't think we're going to be able to do this. We're going to keep talking. But we really just set our boundaries of like in the morning, like, we can smile at each other, but we don't need to talk, and it was just, it kind of, and there were moments that we would definitely like notice we would get out of it and just reminding ourselves to get back into it of like, just because someone's there, you don't need to be in constant communication, and they can have their own thing going on. You can have your own, because when we're deep in a process and someone talks to us, we get out of the process, right? Like I might be in silence washing the dishes, but having this like revelatory thought. And then she says something and now I'm out of it, or now I'm in her experience. And there can just be a lot of like, almost like an abandonment of self through friendship. Of like, I noticed with myself before this that every time I would go on a walk, I'm like, oh, I need to respond to this person. Oh, I need to send that voice. Oh, I need to send that email. Oh, I need to check social. I needed this, rather than like taking this as the opportunity that I intended it to be of being with myself. And then getting to the core bottom, which has been a lot of this year of like, why do I feel like I can't truly be alone? And that we could go into that. It was a whole rabbit hole that I think is the core reason why women are struggling in relationships, because we can't be alone.
Tell us more about that. Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge one. I think I don't really fully know to be on my own. I think it's a big piece for everyone.
Yeah. It's a paradox, because I'm not saying everyone's meant to be alone forever. It's not that. However, for masculine consciousness, Shiva, right? Shiva was on the mountains in the Himalayas doing his yoga, total oneness with Brahma. But then he felt something. He felt this energy. And he's like, what is that? I'm so magnetized by that. And that was part of Ati Shakti. And, the story of Shiva Shakti was that Shiva essentially lost his wife. He went up into the mountains. He's like, I'm going to, just be one with universe, be in moksha. And all the girls wanted Shiva. So they would all try and try, but they never got his attention. And then Parvati was like, I'm going to go onto another mountain and commit to being my highest self. And she raised her vibration so much that he felt her energy. And that's what magnetized him to her. And so instead of her chasing him and finding him and trying to seduce him and the things that everyone else was doing, she focused on being her highest self. She reached the same vibration that he was in. And that's when they became one and actually created the world that we're in. Shiva and Shakti, physical, non-physical movement and stillness. And that's what we actually feel when we have an orgasm. It's Shiva consciousness in our pineal gland and Shakti in our womb coming together. That's what creates all life. As women, when we don't know how to be alone, we are attracted to men who only want to be alone. Because on a deep level, we're envious of their ability to be alone. We're like, how are you able to be alone? No, you must want to be with me. You have to want to be with me, So we're trying, but it's actually, so the more you can't be alone, the more likely you are to be with someone who only wants to be alone. Anxious avoidant.
Right.
And you see it time and time again. My core fear was being alone. And it's crazy because when I was married, I was like, oh, I love being alone. Oh my God, if I could go to Bali for a month, just be by myself, that would be amazing. But I was still in a relationship. When you're alone, not in a relationship, I was also not in contact with my family. Like it's a whole other level of actually being alone, of like, oh, I don't even have an emergency contact to put in. And it's scary, because there is this evolutionary thing of like, am I going to survive? Like, think about it. For thousands of years, if the women were kicked out of the tribe, like she would die. She didn't have access to resources. So because of evolution, as women, we have adapted to being codependent. right? I'm going to depend on you. I'm going to lean on you. We've learned to gossip because that's going to bring me closer to you. We've learned how to like kind of see who's in power and come closer to them. These are all survival, techniques that we've adapted, and they're a part of who we are as well, a part of our human consciousness. But there's this higher level of consciousness, Atman, which is like connected to all. And so for me, what it looked like was like, I would get these pings of like, I'm like working or doing something. It was often when I like was working, it was hard, that I feel this like deep loneliness. This like, oh, I just want to be held by someone. Like, I just want like someone to be with me. Someone, especially, that physical touch. I just want someone to hold me. And then I would notice the next implication was like, go on social media, like eat chocolate, go on a dating app, like do something to get out of this, or like to take action on this. Cause I thought, I'm lonely. Okay, I guess I have to be on dating apps to meet someone, right? Cause that's the easiest, fastest way that everyone's doing it, right?
Fastest.
Right. Not even. So then I would start to sit when then that would happen of like, okay, I'm noticing within myself, I'm feeling that lonely feeling. And so I would go onto like my yoga mat, sit outside and be like, what does it feel like to be completely alone? Like, let me go all the way into this. And so I went and I would question myself of like, okay, imagine I was just here, because I was living in the mountains by myself. So I'm like, imagine I'm just here in this mountain house for the rest of my life and no one even knows where I am and I just die here. Like, then what happens? And it's like, I guess I would just live here. And I'm like, so would I be living? It's like, yes. So it's like, so why do I feel like if only I'm in contact with people, I'm alive? And it was this deep underlying belief of like, if I am not helping someone, I don't deserve to live.
Wow.
And that was the underlying belief that I had of, if I am not helping someone, if I'm not in relation with someone, with a partner, with a friend, with a social media account, with a something, then I actually don't even deserve to take up space here on this planet. Because my core existence depends on my relation, my giving to someone else.
Where did that come from?
I think for a lot of women, that's like at the base of what we've been trained to be. From the time we're a little kid, you're such a good girl. You help your mom so much. Oh, you help other people so much. Help.
Witnessing our moms, helping.
Witnessing our moms, witnessing everything. And, and there's a light side to it. How amazing is it to help people? How amazing is it to be in relationship, to have friendships? These are all beautiful things. But if we don't know who we are outside of it, like I had to realize, if a tree falls in the middle of the forest and no one hears it, did the tree still fall? And it's like, yeah. So it's like, if I am not helping anyone, if I'm just simply existing here, do I deserve to live? And it's like, of course. So it's like, so why do I feel I need to reach out to someone? I need to do something. I need to produce something. I need to this just to like be alive. And that really sitting with that is actually what ended this constant need to reach out, to do, to perform, to connect to anything. And just like, actually at the core of being alone is peace. And we're so afraid of this peace. We don't know what to do with this peace. When we have those moments of peace, we're like, wow, this is like too much. Let me like find something to do, right? And it was so interesting because I was in the Sacred Valley and I was like coming back into this like thing about being alone. And I'm like, it actually is an illusion to being alone because you're never actually alone. You're always surrounded by the mother. You're always supported by the mother. She's always there. It's this idea that like being alone is like you're being in this void. You're being this, you are part of life. You are part of nature. Like a tree is never alone because it's in the earth and it's under the stars. It's like we're always connected to all of the things. But also what a gift it is to be human-wise alone. I started to realize, do you know how many people in India have like never been alone in their lives because they live with 14 people on the floor? Most of the world has never had the opportunity, the gift, the privilege of actually being alone, to actually be able to sit with yourself. Like maybe had 5 minutes when they went to the latrine to, and that's it. And now they're back to like the duties and they're sleeping with all these people next to them. I'm like, wow. And I'm like, wow. And also it showed me, and I didn't even want to have children before this. I was like, I don't think it's for me. It introduced me to future children. It was the greatest love I've ever experienced. And it was like, one day you're going to be in the bathroom and your kids are going to be knocking on the door. I need to come in. And you're going to be like, damn, remember when I used to cry about being alone? Remember when I used to be so hard for me? What I would do for that?
Remember when I reached for the phone to ask? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That I'm like, the chapter you're in is such a gift.
Yeah.
And it's a chapter, and the chapter always changes. If you don't believe me, think of all the chapters you've had in your life. Think about you 1 year ago. Think about you 3 years ago. Think about you 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's unrecognizable. The chapters are always going to change. You're in this chapter for a reason. It's the very chapter that your soul wrote for this part of your journey. But we're trying to go to the next chapter so quickly. But once we go to the next chapter, it's just forever another one until it ends with death. It doesn't even end there. You know, and I would say, like, on the other side of it, and so I always speak into both ends of the paradox, is like, yes, there are some chapters that don't need to take as long, right? Like, one thing I gained, an insight I gained, I was like, do I just have to be alone forever and this? And the medicine was like, no, you can just like open yourself up to love. And it was like, you don't actually have to be alone forever. You know, it was a lot around, it's this interesting dance, right? It showed me how, like, myself and a lot of us spiritual women, we have very, very high standards of what we're looking for in men. You know, we're looking for a man who is conscious, on a spiritual journey, living his dharma, emotionally intelligent, evolved, traveler, makes more money than us, fit, leader.
Looks good,
you know, 6 foot tall, blue eyes, fine. It's like all of that stuff, except our version's like Jason Momoa, you know? And it was like, honey, you're not looking for a man. You're looking for a God.
Yeah.
No, you're looking for God. Because only God can be so certain about everything at any single time and never have a moment of hesitation and doubt. And definitely always, the moment he sees you, he knows it's you forevermore and never quivers. It's like, he's a man. The men are struggling way more than we are actually right now. And just to have a lot more compassion for what the men are in. And love is always available for us. Like, right now, if you're listening to this, like, there's someone that you could be madly in love with who you probably already know. But he might not look how you want, have the money that you want, and things like that. And that's also okay. Because, you know, I would say after the journey, I kind of like opened my standards a little too much. I dated someone that, like, after a month, I was just like, no. But it showed me, yeah, love is always available.
But then opened your heart.
I opened my heart. Yeah. But it was just like, also, I'm a human. And then I was like, okay, I see the medicines give like the highest level of perspective. But then, like, my humanness was like, you know, but again, it gave me that beautiful experience of like, wow, by me opening myself up to not having this adherence of things, I got to experience like meeting a new person that I would have never really met before. Right. But then after a month, I'm like, a relationship is a ship. And do I want to be on this ship? And I'm like, no, this isn't really the direction of the ship I want to be. And, you know, and it was so beautiful. It was so much easier to let it go. There's zero heartbreak with that, because you just are like, okay, what a beautiful touch point of experiences and moving onwards. And yeah, and now, like, the longer I'm single, the more grateful I am for it. Yeah. But when you're in it, sometimes it's that deep feminine yearning that you're just like, oh my God, I just want to be with my partner. I want to be with my man. I want to be in love, and like that. And then that wave passes, and then you're like, oh, thank goddess I didn't text my ex in that situation, or, you know, date some random dude from the app that, you know, because now I'm free. I'm free to move. I'm free to make a radical life shift. I'm free to just be in my own energy, to heal, to do a rose dieta, to do all these things I wouldn't have been able to do had I been in a relationship. And my vibration is continuing to increase, and that's just naturally going to bring an entirely different caliber of person into my life. The question that I wonder is, like, when we're on these growth journeys, it's like, at what vibration do you get to until you align with sacred union, when you're both continuing to expand? And I think that's the question that I'm sitting with, of like, my deepest desire is definitely to be with someone forever. Like, I think like most of us women do, but I genuinely wonder of like, you're growing, they're growing, like, what are relationships between two evolving people long-term really going to look like? And will we honor the vow that we made to each other more than our personal growth? You know, is the vow part of the personal growth? Like, these are things I'm very curious how they'll pan out in my life.
Are you in the inquiry right now, or do you have any answers? Well, there's no answer fully, but
I think there's no answer
until you meet
fully.
that person.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, you know, after my divorce, I was like, I'm never going to get married again. And to be honest, I still don't want to sign legal. I don't want to bring the energy of a government again, but I do deeply desire a life partner, and I just feel there's something so beautiful about being with someone through all those chapters. And the person I would have chosen my life partner last year would be very different than this year and probably next year. So yeah, I'm curious, and I'm curious your insights of this, of like, where does it reach a point that you're like, okay, even though I'm going to change in this direction, you're going to change in this direction. We are so committed to being with each other, even if you might get the call to move to Bali, but you can't do that because I can't move to Bali. And I think that's what a lot of spiritual people are struggling with in relationships right now. Because when you're like, shit, I can like literally just follow my own intuition and just go with that. There's another person involved and their path is guiding them somewhere else. I'm curious what your take on that is.
Well, first of all, I was having a conversation this morning about that particular piece of releasing the expectation of the relationship. That is massive. I personally had lists of what that person would look like, and I threw it out, and I got something completely opposite from what those lists said. So, and then it's exactly what I needed. So often those lists, I would forget the heart and the actual heart of the person, and then I got a massive heart without anything else on the list. So I could not agree more with you on that. And I'm also also in the inquiry of what it looks like, because I think personally our souls, for example, come here to experience, to evolve, to grow, and we grow very fast. It's like who I saw just last year is a completely different Sahara. And so I think that, again, the pendulum can swing to your own personal experience, and also we come here to be in relationship. So I think it comes to a point where we choose how fast, because I don't think it's easy for somebody to be with somebody that's growing that fast. And if they're growing that fast, it's possible that we're going opposite directions, because it's like a soul journey and a soul experience. So I think that it's really up to us to play with the volume of how fast you want to go, how fast you want to grow, and.
So do you think you naturally have to slow down your growth to stay in a relationship?
It's what I've found.
Yeah.
Because there's no one that can go as fast as I can, or I haven't found that person. And
you'll be afraid of going fast because you're afraid of losing the relationship.
Not only that, but if losing the relationship, or it's like, are you attracting somebody exactly like you? Because that's going to be like, that could explode in some way, because you're going so fast that's like, what direction are you going towards?
What is it about, like, when we enter into a relationship? Like, I noticed I dated this guy, it was like a month and a half, but all of a sudden I'm just like wanting to stay home all the time, like pajamas, and I'm just like, what? And the moment I ended things with him, I'm like, back to restoring yourself again, and I'm just like, why? It's like this nesting thing that we do of like, oh my God, I found you. Like, I don't want to have to go out anymore. I was only doing that to even meet someone, and now I found you. So let's like hunker down. But then you lose your spark, and like something I'm committed to is like, whoever I'm with, like, let it be adventurous.
Yes. Curiosity as a value, getting curious with life, what life is. But I think it goes back to what we were taught, right? Like nesting, the nest, like creating home, what that looks like. And can we actually get curious what that could look like if it wasn't like the monotonous home making of pajamas, movies? Like, could it be different? I think that's an inquiry that we could be in society right now. Could it be something that we're traveling and seeing the world as a family, or I don't know. And it's a question.
I think eventually you meet someone that you just can't imagine doing life without them. And then it's a figuring out along the way.
I agree.
And I think, well, one thing when I asked the Wachuma, I was like, can relationships last forever? And it brought me to my grandparents, my mom's parents. And, they got married. She was like, under 18, actually. It was back then in Iran, and they were married for like 60 plus years until he died. And there was so much beauty in that relationship. They really supported each other. But the medicine was like, they've gone through things that you could not even begin to imagine. Like, they went through their son being taken by the Turkish government and tortured for over a year. And it was like a feud around, like, my grandfather needed my uncle to like stay in Turkey longer. And that's what led to him getting taken. And imagine, as a woman, the reason why your son might be dead is in jail you might never see him again is because of your husband. But to stay through with your husband through that and to love each other through that. And it's like people in your generation could never, right? We would be like, I mean, we're so quick to drop people, right? Let alone like, I lost my child because of you. But they still stuck through each other then. So it's like, are you willing to stick with someone through something as big as that, as losing your child? And you're kind of blaming that person, but you can't blame the other person because it's also their loss too. Moving to a new country with no money and not speaking the language, going through revolutions, going through wars. Can you be with someone through that and all that it brings up? It showed me at my level of consciousness, no. That right now, no. Because we're all too focused on ourselves. It was a very different time and a way of thinking that even if those things happened, it was like divorce was like, it was not even a vocabulary for them. It didn't exist. Like, unless you're like abused, it's like, there's no way. Whereas for us, and there's a light and there's a shadow, right? Like I do, like, obviously I was divorced due to my ex's infidelity. And I'm so grateful for that. So many women cannot leave, right? So many women my great grandmother was, her husband took a second wife. You know, what could she do? Leave? Nothing you can do. Like, so many women have had to stuck by that, alcoholic husbands, and they can't divorce. So I think there's a beauty in the gift that we have today of like, we can leave relationships, you know, be on our own, not be dependent financially on a man. And this is so empowering and so needed, and is what gets women out of abusive situations and toxic situations. And the other edge of that is like, if our goal is lifelong relationship, no matter what. Well, when we have the option of leaving, it's more accepted. Yeah, it's just less likely to do it. I think we're going to just see very, very few relationships in our time that actually genuinely last forever. And I think more likely what it showed me is like, you have partnerships for different chapters of your life that best serve you in that chapter. You might have a 20-year chapter with someone that you raise children together. And then you can decide, you know, like, do we want to continue doing this? Because you're going to be, imagine 20 years of raising kids together. Like, you're going to be an entirely 10x person on the other side of that, and choose. And, you know, my aunt and uncle, they have been together for 20 plus years, raised kids, and like, they're more in love than ever before. And like, it's genuine and there's no need for it. And there's no, like, it's true, genuine love. And you see everything else in between.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, because I feel like also, the commitment, and we're seeing that also in jobs too, and careers and everything else. It's I think we've entered. I mean, we are in the age of information where there's so much available to us, and it's where do we pick? What do we pick for how long?
Well, interesting enough, we've actually moved past the information age. We're in the conceptual age.
Oh, that just happened.
That just happened in 2020.
That's right.
So the conceptual age there was such an influx of information, such an overwhelm of information. You go on ChatGPT and have a Harvard PhD, you know? Most people don't know what to do with the information. So like, the people who have access to the most resources are the ones that are going to be able to conceptualize and synthesize that information. Okay. Guides, coaches, you know, healers, space holders, leadership, things like that. In the agriculture revolution, the people who had access to the most resources were the ones who owned land, landlord. Industrial revolution, it was people who owned factories, right? That's where the whole 9-to-5 school system, you know, all of that came from. Information age, it became who went to four-year college, .com boost, you know, get the corner office, climb the corporate ladder. Officially in 2020, and this is going to be in history books, we moved into the information age, where there's so much information into the conceptual age that now it's like, how can we conceptualize this information? Most people can't hear their intuition. They're never in silence. It's like almost feels impossible, because it's like, even my moments of silence, I'm listening to a podcast or music or something. So the people who can hold space for people's silence and allow their intuition to come through will be the ones who have the access to most resources, which is why I always tell people, like, there's so much opportunity in spirituality, in coaching and things like that. But we often all follow each other on Instagram, you know, so we think everyone else is doing it. But actually, if you're listening to this podcast, you're like, oh, super, super, super pioneer. But all of this is actually really, really new.
Yeah.
Like these conversations are very, very new to our collective consciousness. They're not even in our mainstream consciousness, right? If you don't believe me, go to your local grocery store. Ask, who here is living in alignment with their soul's purpose? See if you have one person at the grocery store, at the gas station, at the airport. Are you here to raise the vibration of humanity? If so, please come to Terminal 9. See if anyone comes. Tens of thousands of people at an airport. So we think everyone's already doing this. Oh, Manuel already has a podcast and Sahara's podcast is too late for me. It's like, no, we are actually among, like, think about how many genuine spiritual, like living their soul's purpose people do you think there even are on planet Earth?
They're coming. They're being born.
Maybe 100,000.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But we surround ourselves with it. So therefore we think it's everybody in the entire world. And
even if there's 100,000, that's less than 0.00001% of the population of Earth.
Right. And we're talking about countries also that would never allow for this, right? So to have also the opportunity and the privilege to step into that if you want to step into it.
Exactly. It's so needed. That's why, I was telling you I'm called to move back to the Middle East and bring consciousness there, because it's like, if we all just stay in our echo chambers, like the echo chamber is great to like fill up your cup, but then it's like, you got to leave. We're here to be those little light bulbs all around the world. Right. But they're like all in like Tulum and Bali. And it's like, we need them everywhere.
Those are recharging spots. But
exactly.
I agree with you. I call them the experiments, right? We go and place ourselves in places that we're the only ones. And watch that become the unicorn in a space and see what happens. And it's beautiful as people are receptive. They might not be there, but they're receptive. They're curious. They want to know more. Who are you? Like, you look different. You feel different. Wow. Like, where do you come from?
Exactly.
What have you done? And they get curious. And I think that's what it's all about. That's consciousness in some way to help and support the planetary evolution of our consciousness. What do you think of consciousness? That's a big word.
I feel there are many different states of consciousness. There are entirely new consciousnesses that we even have on a day-to-day basis, let alone throughout our lives. Sometimes I think back on like my thoughts in different time points of my life. Well, you have like those thoughts that continue to come up or thought patterns. And then when you like shift into new ones, you're like, oh my God, I can't imagine living in that mind anymore.
Yeah.
Like, for example, after my divorce, it was like trauma brain. It was like almost like hard for me to even like listen to anyone talk, because all I was thinking about was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got cheated on. Oh my God, I can't. It was just that, right? And then I shifted into this like move, keep things moving. And like that was the energy, the quality, the texture. In Ayurveda, we have these gunas, which are like qualities. So there's like sattvic, which is peaceful, rajasic, which is like energizing, even aggravating, and tamasic, which is like dull. And so you can even feel like what consciousness are you in? Like right now we're in a very sattvic consciousness that it's rose frequency, it's very peaceful. It's very loving. But now all of a sudden I start talking like this and I brought this energy and it's going to turn into a very rajasic thing. And I'm sure you have some interviews with people who are a little bit more here. And then naturally you are going to mirror that consciousness, because it's impossible not to. And everyone listening to this podcast right now is going to be moving a little bit more differently just because I'm talking like this.
Wow.
Versus if I was like, yo, damn, Manuela, yo, it's just crazy, bro. I was like in fucking Machu Picchu. Snarnar. It was like, whew, vibes. It's like we would take a different path, and it's like even me just doing that, just the intonation of my voice just created such a difference of consciousness.
You moved the membrane for definitely.
So it's like, so how can we, it's like, how can we think consciousness doesn't exist if I just talked for 2 seconds differently and we're all, you feel the energy moving through your body. It's different right now. Because we just laughed. It's like now we're in a different moment in this conversation.
We jumped.
Right?
Yeah.
And I can move this moment to any kind of conversation that we want to have. Just from me shifting that.
Look at that. That's a shapeshifter. We go back to you're shapeshifting.
Right.
You're shapeshifting
and we all are, but most of us shapeshift to what's the temperature in the room.
Wow. Okay.
What's the temperature in the room? If the temperature of the room is LA, I'm trying to be here, but instead I'm here. Is there something better for me to do? And everyone here is so annoying, but I can't leave. that's going to be the temperature of the room I'm in. In fact, I can't fight the temperature of the room, because if I just came out of Bali and I'm piping hot, but it's 72 degrees in here, it's like, we're going to have to find a middle ground. Right. And eventually I'm going to have to come down to like, if everyone's 72 degrees, I'm going to be at 72 degrees. Right. It's like when you come back to it from a sacred site, you've got like feathers in your hair and you're like dressed all flowy and you're like, I'm going to never wear makeup again. And you come back and it's like 2 weeks later, you're drinking your $14 smoothie at Erewhon, you know, and you're like, shit, back here. And it's like temperature of the room, you know, we can't help it. There's a consciousness everywhere we go.
Right.
So that is why it is challenging. And my prayer, you know, moving to Dubai next, I'm like, please, last night I said, God, keep me humble. Keep me humble, because Dubai consciousness can be very glitz and glamour. And do you know what God decided to do? Last night, my dog took a shit all over my ground, everywhere. And I spent 20 minutes this morning just cleaning it up. Then my other dog peed like 4 times on the ground. So my entire morning was cleaning poop and pee. And I said, okay, yalla, I get it.
Yalla.
Let's go back to the true love manifestation. Thank you very much.
You know, one thing I absolutely love about you is you're so unapologetically you. You just show up. Look at how you just shared with us how you play with life. You know, like you just went from LA to where did you go? I like Jamaica to, and that's how you create. Like you just show up as you, no matter what. Like forget about what people think. Forget about. I don't care. I just am.
But
me.
even like, what is me?
You are everything. You
right.
You just showed us you could transform and transmute from like A to Z in 1 minute.
But it's like what I'm realizing, I don't even exist.
You do exist.
I exist as versions of me that I have become through my experiences.
Right.
I am India and I am Trinidad and I am LA and I am all of these things. So you're feeling all these frequencies in me, but actually I'm just a clear sponge.
Yes, you are.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what's like, people are like, how? And it's like, just expose yourself to new experiences, because these experiences are the colors that like become you.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe so many of us are being called to sacred sites.
Yeah.
Because that is like a permanent tattoo it puts on you. You go to Egypt you go to, you know, India, you go to Peru, you go to these places, it's an imprint. Like you're feeling in me the medicine. You're feeling in me Egypt. You're feeling in me Iran. You're feeling in me all of these things that I have had the privilege of just being in and being open in and allowing the parts of it that were meant to come in me to come through here. Now I also have my ancestry and I also have the unique personality, my soul chosen. I'm a Capricorn and a projector and blah, 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 blah.
All the boxes.
All of that.
Yeah.
But I'm actually none of it. I'm actually all of it. And I'm actually just showing up here with no idea what's going to happen next, but just feeling the flow of this. It's actually like we're just creating a new version of both of us that's only going to exist in this moment of time. And neither of us are going to see again.
Or are we?
I don't think we will, because this moment will pass.
That's true. But we can always bring it back.
But it will be a new version.
A whole new version.
It will always be a new version.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So never be attached to like anything, you know, like that's something it really taught me is like people get very attached to aspects of their personality. I know myself. I'm like this. I'm organized. I know myself. I don't do well with that. I know. Trust me, bitch, it will change. It will change.
Well, I you know
You're the dark night and soul of a wall. I was like, I love the ocean. Now I like the mountains. I want to be this. Now I want to be that. And guess what? By trying the opposite, you actually find the middle ground of what's only true for you though at this moment, because it will shift again. So don't be attached to anything in your personality.
I even find myself telling people the same story over and over about who I am. How fun would it be to just play?
What's the story?
It's the background, the same background. Right. Like, you know, but like, imagine, release that, let go of the past, be present. Who are you now? Who are you today? Who are you in this moment?
Oh, wow. I had such a good time pondering stories.
Wow.
Okay. There's different levels of consciousness, right? And there's different things that serve you. Pick which first serves you. This is a buffet. There's a part of our consciousness that's like, own your message, own your story, share who you are, be authentic. And that is a very important stage in our spiritual journey of coming out of the spiritual closet, sharing ourselves, sharing our voices, opening up that throat chakra. That was a huge part of my journey. I have a course called Speak with Soul. I help people with their speaking, and I train coaches, and creating spiritual coaching businesses is a huge part of like the vibration of who I attract, because it's something I've really mastered, right? Using my voice, sharing my story, not being afraid of being vulnerable. But then it showed me the next level. And it was like, the medicine was like, how long are you going to tell the boohoo I got cheated on story? Because that's just a story. And the more you tell that story, the more you're in that story. What if every single time you met someone, you were just that version of you that you were in that moment of time without anything that happened in your past? And it showed me how we actually sometimes feel like we need to like tell the story to like get you to like me, get you to understand me, show me that I'm relatable, like especially in the coaching space. I was broke, lost this, and now I am this, and so can you. It's true. That did happen. But also, it is painting this hero's journey that can really limit the nuance of our experience, right? Of like, I was this, now I'm that, and so can you. And it's not really like that. Because I'm not, where am I? I still struggle. There's no end. So it showed me how when we continue to say our story, oh, you know, my background is this, I experienced that. It's like, okay, that's now going to be your story. You just put that coat back on, you know? And it's like, it made me understand why so many enlightened people just like go into silence. There's no more need to explain. The vibration is the explanation. Let your vibration be the thing that explains rather than you feeling the need to put words to a story that happened in the past to get someone to understand this version of you that doesn't even exist anymore. And at the same time, you know, we're fucking humans and we're like, tell me your story. Oh, you know, and there is like a level of like, comfort it brings, connection it brings, but it is a very self-deprecating way of like, oh, I like you because you've struggled. You know, like it's interesting. Why do we only like people because they struggled? Why?
Because it connects to a part of us that has struggled too, and then the struggles link together, right?
So if someone's not in a struggle, can we like them?
No, it's actually the opposite.
Right.
We shut them down. We make them small, cancel them.
Right.
By like, if you're thriving, no.
Right. So then what are we attracting?
Struggle.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it will make people struggling like you more, and then you all struggle together.
And they stay in that. I mean, I'm thinking even as you're saying this, all these people that just stay in their stories, stay. Instead of being able to celebrate, you know, you walked in, I was like, who are you? Oh my goodness. I celebrate all of the work, all of everything you've done. Can we find people where we can celebrate each other? We can really like root for each other. Can we actually, if we could shift the vibration of the world to stop like saying, no, to celebrate each other, what would that look like?
Yeah.
That's like unconditional love, bringing love into the world. I see you. I see everything you've done. I've seen everything you've done for your family, for your ancestry, all the clearing you've done.
And that being seen in that is actually so much more healing than being seen in your struggles only. Your struggles, like, I think there's a stage where you're ashamed about something and sharing it. And there's a freedom that happens in that, or you want to be seen, or you've never told your story before. That's the moment to tell your story. What I'm speaking into is this kind of world that we're in, that it's like only about, this is my one sentence story of who I am and how I define myself in my 180 character bio. And this is who I am forevermore. And it's like, you're so multidimensional. You're so much more than that. You have so many aspects of you, but we limit them again because we see ourselves like social media posts. We see ourselves as that of like, oh shit, my bio is this and the pictures I put out are that. Therefore, I now have to adhere to that. It's like the voice note. It's so interesting what technology is doing. The reason why we're not growing is because we're continuing to attach ourselves to these stories, to these depictions, to these profiles. So try for a moment in time to not, you know, like Rumi says, say nothing, hear nothing, just be nothing. The most sacred word in Sufism is nothing.
What is it? Do you know?
No, it's nothing.
It's nothing.
The word nothing, heech.
Heech
Is the sacred word. Just be nothing. But we're so attached in American culture to, but I am my story and I am amazing and I am this and this. And again, when you feel like shit, that's helpful, right? Become your main character, have that, but don't get stuck there either, because it's still just the ego trying to get importance from an identity that is going to change yet again.
Every minute of the day. By being nothing, you're being everything. You're becoming everything. Well, and then we're everything all the time.
And then you're opening up to what the universe wants, which is so much more exciting than what you could potentially want. Scary.
Isn't that interesting though? We're
Yeah.
scared of our freedom. We're scared of the like potential of being so free. Like
Right.
we are infinite free beings.
Because it's more comfortable to be in a cage that you know every corner of
Right.
than to be in the wild.
And to think that the planet and life is just this. That's wild. We're like a tiny little micro of what's available to us out there.
What's so cool is when you go through a dark night of the soul, when I say that, it's like a really difficult moment, an on your knees moment. I have a song called Sexy Dark Night of the Soul, so be sure to listen to that. But on the other side, you notice that the way you interact with the world is so different, right?
Mm.
Like I noticed like one tiny example is like, I just like noticed, I had so much more empathy for people.
Yeah.
Like the doorman, the cashier, I was just like so much more curious about them and their experience. And I'm like, whoa, this is just an entirely different way of orienting through the world, that it made me realize that every single person is relating to the world in such a different way.
Yeah.
And like, here we are, and we've created a relationship based on one version of us, but all it takes is one of us to shift for it to be an entirely different relationship. And yeah, like, what a gift to continue to evolve, because you continue to have entirely different life experiences, like even without traveling, just from being in different moments of your consciousness.
And then we think of our own truths as the truths, but then not giving space for somebody else's truth and learning from somebody else's truth. Like your truth can be my truth and your truth and our truth. And then we can expand in the truth that is forever changing. It's nothing's fixed ever. As we're transforming, as we're evolving, so is the planet. So is the animal kingdom, the plants, everybody's moving.
Yeah.
Constantly.
And the further we move away from something, the more layers of the truth we can see, right? Because we often feel our emotions are truth, our direct experience, and that's our subjective truth. It's our lower T truth. But like capital T truth is like, I think only on your deathbed you really see all of that.
And even then, I was having this thought this morning that that's evolving too.
Yeah.
We think of it as like the fixed death of the light. But what if like time and space are evolving constantly and death looks different every time? We don't know.
So what do you think happens when we die?
That's what I had that thought this morning. I was like, why do we think it's one fixed event?
So you think every death is different?
This is just a new thought that came in this morning. So I don't know. I have to still play with it a little bit. But imagine if like, we're received by something else on the other. I think the body dies, obviously. The body's experience dies. We're attached to the body. We're attached to what our experience of that body was. Once that body composes, our soul and spirit continue on. But that keeps evolving because we just evolved in that body. So that light, I feel what I'm receiving right now, that light continuously shifts and transforms.
I believe it, because at different levels of consciousness, your next experience will be radically different.
Right.
So the way you'll be received will be very different. Do you believe that we have like a final lifetime and then we've reached the end of samskara and we're spirit guides, or it just continues forever?
And again, in the evolution, this is my thought, and this is something I've been playing with as well, is like, I think that we're moving into Aquarius, right? The completion of the individual of the self. What if we all together died in this moment? And I mean an energetic death. Then what would happen? It's like no longer my soul dying, but our souls are all dying together collectively into the next age, into the next
I feel
space.
like COVID did that to some level.
Yeah.
That was like probably the most global collective death of we're all in this dark night of the soul together.
Right.
And it changed everyone.
It did.
Yeah.
Well, it brought death right to the forefront, which is, I think, a conversation that we need to have at some point. Like, we need to lose that fear. It's actually really beautiful and exciting. That's the evolution of our soul. I mean, it's talk about attachment. Attached to what reality are we attaching ourselves to? We get to fly, transform.
It's coming back to our deep fear of peace.
That's right.
Because a death is a peace. It's a completion.
Yeah.
When you die naturally in your own way. But we're so afraid of that we're like, it even showed me of like our addiction to just the roller coasters.
Right.
Right. The roller coaster of romance, the roller coaster of everything. Because we want to feel alive. You have the ups and you have the downs. But if we actually want to like move past these fluctuations it's to just like be in the space of a little bit more neutrality, a little bit more stillness, which again doesn't feel as maybe exciting, but what comes up must come down. You
It's
know,
true.
we're all looking for this panacea of like to be in this romantic, passionate love that always feels good all the time. And it's like that actually can't exist, because if that was the baseline, there would be no juxtaposition and then it would just become neutral again. You know, so it made me realize the way that we are addicted to one another, like using one another for entertainment, using one another to fill voids, rather than like truly
Meeting
connecting.
one another.
Yeah.
Meeting you where you are versus.
Right. Instead,
Right.
it's I'm looking for a husband. I'm looking for a wife. I'm looking for, and they got to be these things. I'm casting a role. Could you be the actor in it? Then you're both just playing roles.
Right. And wow, yeah, that's true. I think the rose, what you said about the rose and all of your experiences with all the other plants, also noticing that it can be subtle and soft and easy, the biggest transformation you could have versus like these big cathartic, right? It can be very, very small, very subtle.
Yep.
How about your music? You've stepped into music, your creativity. Has that been a big part of your healing, your space, your...
Yes. After my divorce, I could not read a book, listen to a podcast. Like I couldn't do words anymore. All I could do was listen to music. And specifically, I would listen to a lot of Afrobeats music and their voices. It was like earth energy. I would just feel it so deep in my heart and my body. And I'm like, what is this? It's also when you're so open, you've been blasted open through pain, you feel everything so much more. I was like, damn, has music always been like this? Or am I just hearing? It's like when you're high, you know, it's like music sounds so much better, but it was just through life. And so it just made me get a lot more curious about music. And I'm like, how do I produce music? And beginning learning that journey and just kind of started coming through. And then I'm like making beats and melodies and top lines. I've never studied any of these things in my life. But then once I started to make the beats, I'm like, okay, now what vocals go on? I need to find some Afrobeats artists because I can't. And at the time, there was a mantra I was telling myself. This was last summer.
Which was it's my morning. I wake up sometimes, I'm like, hey, Sahara, there it is.
Stop. That's so funny. So in this unknown of living out of a suitcase, not knowing what I was going to do, where I was going to live, I would tell myself, trust, flow, surrender, let go. Trust, flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for. And so I made this beat and then I was like, what do I put on? I was like, maybe let me try my affirmation. And so I tried it. And then the music producer who I was making it with, I was like, can you say, give me ginger? He's like, I'm not, no. I was like, just say it. Give me water, give me fire. So then he did that. And he's not done Afrobeats music and stuff before, but it was like, it was both just like meant to be. And then we started making music together and it was like one song after the next. And then I just continued to expand and I started to make music with Jamaican artists and Nigerian artists and continuing to go on. And on Women's Day in March, dropped an album called My Body is an Altar, which was one of the first realizations that I had of like, I am a sacred site and will only be treated as such. And I will only share my intimacy, my heart, my beauty with someone who sees me as a temple. And so all of the songs were based on poems that I had written that I turned into song form. And again, I never, if you ask me what's your like biggest weakness, I would say singing. Like I was like, I'm just not a singer. Like I've never been good at it, but it was interesting. It was like a big push for me because it was like going into the thing that I felt like this is the one thing I really can't do.
Interesting, because you help people activate the voice, right?
But I
Here
couldn't
you
sing.
are.
Yeah. I was like, I'm a rapper, which I still am. But making the beats, putting the lyrics on it, lyrics you feel good about getting stuck in your head. Because, you know, I love dance hall music, hip hop music, but it's like the lyrics are just not things I want in my consciousness, right? And I would like notice myself singing them and I'm like, oh, what mantra am I saying right now? So, you know, all of the music has things that you feel good about, like the song Sexy Dark Night of the Soul, which is major Missy Elliott vibes, Indian sample. But it's about your dark night of the soul can actually make you sexier. And sexy is a state of consciousness, of being more radiant, being more alive, flirting with life. You know, like we think sexy is this like performative thing for the male gaze outside, but it's actually this feeling of feeling yourself. Because when you feel yourself, the universe feels you too.
Right.
And so, yeah, I just took like, again, all different things that I would tell myself and put it into the music. I actually created a music video for that one where it's really like an art piece of, someone admitting their infidelity to you and then your future self coming through of like, if you've had a dark night of the soul.
I love those glasses.
Yeah, exactly. Your sexiest days are yet to come. This is for you. And I'm like, look, nothing lasts forever except my swag. So I'd rather be extra than your regular ass. No one cheering louder than the girl I used to be. So I do this shit for her, become who she's meant to be. Because I got 99 problems, but they all in the past. My shadows made me sexy, plus they gave me some more ass. Dark femme got me wildin', but I say celibate, because unless you is a god, then you is irrelevant. So it's all like exactly what I said on this podcast, but like in music form, Right. And I even I listen to it myself to remind myself sometimes of like, okay, remember who you are. And it's been so beautiful, like creating this music that I actually want to listen to that feels good, sharing it with other people, and also just being an example of permission slip that your dharma is ever unfolding. Right? Like, yes, I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a podcast host. I'm a founder of Highest Self Institute. But I'm also an artist. I'm also a dancer. I'm also a mystic. I'm also all of these things.
All the things you haven't even explored yet.
Exactly. And it's very this like patriarchal lens that's like, okay, you have one career and that's what you do like for the rest of your life. And it's like kind of like in relationships, like let's explore, let's try different aspects of ourselves, but also bring it all together, bring it all home, have a through line. And that through line is really what your niche is.
Wow. Yeah. And, you're changing lives everywhere. I wake up with trust, flow, surrender, let go. I'm in the airport and I'm like, trust, flow, surrender, let go. So, and we were just talking before, like, that's a way to help the world. That's a way where you're constantly getting into people's consciousness and really allowing them to like remember their power. It doesn't have to look like saving the world through organizations or politics, or you're constantly touching people's lives.
Yeah, and I know that was both of our journeys of very much being in the philanthropy humanitarian side, which is always going to be a part of us.
It's going to do, yeah.
And like I realized I had this like existential guilt of like, if I am not on the ground helping the worst situation on planet Earth, then I am not actually of service, And what it really taught me was there are many ways to be of service. And yeah, that makes me happy because sometimes people are like, oh, your music helped me. I'm like, no, like I need to help victims of sex trafficking. Like it's not enough. But it's like, yeah, music has helped me too. Like listening to this podcast, I hope it helps one person. You being you gets to help people. And I think we still have that guilt of it's not enough.
Right.
There has to be some like big thing I do. Like it has to be a charity for orphans. That's the only way it can actually help. And yes, that also is a different facet of helping people, right? Those are people who aren't going to listen to your podcast or don't have access to Spotify. And it's important to not forget those people as well. And it all has this beautiful like trickle effect, right? Because it's like someone's full-time dharma may be to create that orphanage, but they might listen to your podcast. They might read your book. They might eat your organic food. Their kids might go to the school that you set up. They might use your clean skincare products, which led to them not getting cancer. They may swim in the oceans that you had a part in helping be cleaner. There's so many things that we can do. And us living our dharmas, our soul's purposes, is us being the solution to the world's problem that we're meant to be. But I think we look at, who's helped the world the most? Gandhi, Mother Teresa. Okay, it must look like that.
Right.
Right? That was them, and that was their time, right? And we have chosen to incarnate at a different time. It's this time of the internet, which is a very feminine force. It is a great equalizer, a great idea spreader. So trust that your desires, your inclinations, your curiosity, your excitement, the conversations you're having, and your unique obstacles, struggles, the things that you're ashamed about, the things in your lineage coming together is your dharma. And guess what? It gets to be enjoy.
I was going to say, and it gets to be fun. You mean I can have fun while also helping other people?
It's the only way it'll be sustainable.
That's right. And helping other people realize that they can have fun. To let go of that guilt, the shame, all of those energies that you're talking about, like evolving in a new time. Can we bring fun in everything we do? Can we bring play?
Because if we're doing something that we don't want to do, we're not going to do it very long. Do we all go to the soup kitchen every single week? No. But do we check our phones every 5 minutes? Yes. We're going to want to do the things that feel good for us, right? So the universe knows this. And And so your ultimate dharma is your highest form of joy with your highest form of service, because that's the way you're going to keep doing it. Like, I have so much fun being on this podcast with you. I don't want it to end. I'm like, no, please don't. I'm just keep going to just end it.
You'll be back. You'll be back in season.
Because I want to keep doing it, it's helping people, inshallah, like amazing, And so that's what it's meant to be. Whereas if I was like, oh God, can you get me off of this thing? It's like, it also wouldn't help people.
Right.
So trust that you having your most joy, your most fun is actually the way that you're meant to be of service. And we're all meant to be of service in different ways. Like, the Titanic is sinking, right?
Yeah.
We're all going to die, FYI.
We all. Yeah.
We're all going to die. But there's the people who play the violin as the Titanic sinks. And there's some people on the lifeboats. And there's some people who are still making food. There's some people making like there's just so many things you can do.
Yeah.
We don't all need to do the same thing. It won't be helpful. I think actually the person playing the violin was maybe
I was going to say, can I play the violin?
The most. Because it brings beauty to this world. And that's why we're here. That's why we're drawn to a sunset. That's why we're drawn to a cute puppy. That's why we're drawn to things that are beautiful.
Yeah.
What if you making the world a more beautiful place was enough?
And it can be simple. You don't have to try very hard. It can just actually walk outside and say hello to the stranger, smile at the stranger, pick a flower, give it to the stranger. Like, it can be very simple. It doesn't have to be.
The trickle effect of just that, of just giving a flower. You don't know, that could have led to that man coming home and led to that woman not yelling at her kid and him having a better childhood. And, it's like this crazy, it's like, at the Starbucks line, think about like when one person's in a bad mood in the line, right? Oh, this is taking so long. It's like exactly. Now the barista's flustered. Now she messes up the order. And now everyone's pissed. Oh, this Starbucks sucks. They can't even get our orders right.
Imagine putting the energy in the coffees or the teas.
Yeah, you're drinking her stress, Versus when there's one person in that line that says, I'm going to pay for that person behind me. Can you take this extra $5 for them? They're like, oh my God, someone just gave me this?
Yeah.
I want to give it to someone else too.
Right.
Now everyone's gifting each other coffee. One person is all it takes.
Back to celebrating our joy, our fun, our play, and talking about jealousy or talking about this lower vibrational energy usually just means you want it too, right? So if we were all celebrating each other, I celebrate you in your unapologetic self, like thank Goddess, as you say, thank Goddess you show up fully with all you have, because you're affecting people by showing them that they can also show up as themselves. And we're transmuting energy right now. I can feel it. My energy I'm feeling
okay,
cold.
We need a reading, girl. What's happening? Tell me.
I feel like, I think the beautiful part of where you are right now, I think, is that you know exactly where you are. Yeah. You feel super sure about yourself. I feel like if I close my eyes and I see you, it's like your roots out of your feet are so strong. And no coincidence that you're going home. I'm getting chills everywhere. You're being called home. Why? Because your roots are on the earth, and you become this beautiful medicine person. Like you have integrated the plants and the medicines into your being, because there's a part of you that's a medicine woman, and I think it comes back generational. And so no coincidence you were brought back to the plants, to the knowing that that's who you are, and you carry that so profoundly. And now those roots are taking you home to bring that medicine back home. And so the beauty of where I see you now is that you're transmuting, transforming, metamorphosizing into who you really are. Like, you've always been you, yes, and you get to be you in a different way. And it's very simple, actually. It's very beautiful. It's an energy of being. And it's remembering, I feel some energy in your forehead, which is like you're remembering your intuition, you're remembering yourself, you're remembering your energy. And it's almost also like your energy is completely outside of your body, and not in a disembodied way, but it's like you're touching, everything you're touching is transmuting, right? So that dead rose becomes alive. And I can feel how much energy. Oh, wow, the rose. That's why I'm seeing it. Okay, the dead rose becomes alive. And I can feel how much energy has been connected to the plants, to the flowers. You're working with the earth right now, big time. Mm-hmm. And in that, you're becoming alive. Mm-hmm. You're becoming alive. And by that, you're becoming alive, and everything around you becomes alive. Mm-hmm. So you're bringing life to everything. And so all life is coming back to you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, your energy is like huge.
Yeah. I feel the no longer asking or reporting is because when you say going home, for people listening, it's like technically my home is the United States. You know, this is where I've lived my whole life, but I'm going actually to a very unknown place
Your
where
ancestral
my
home.
ancestors are from, like across the Persian Gulf from them. But it's interesting because even though I'm actually stepping into another very unknown chapter of moving out of an apartment, going back to living in Airbnbs, not knowing the next step, I feel so much more certain than because I think we could live in the consciousness of confusion and questioning. And I don't know what's going to happen, but like I'm okay with it. And it took a while for me to get there. But I feel it was this, again, coming back to the beginning of the thing, there's nowhere I should or should not be. There's no right or wrong. There's no decision. It's just a next step.
It's a calling.
It's a calling, and you'll see what's under the calling of next.
And don't be surprised, because what I sense is you're going to be wrapped up. It's like, it almost feels like it's a calling that's coming to wrap you up, and you're going to be completely guided, as you are always, and protected. It's like almost like everything's going to show up exactly as is, because it's a calling. I get chills everywhere, which is a yes, transformation, transmutation. Wow. It's a huge chapter for you. We'll be listening to this when the time is coming to move. Wow. Well, yeah, beautiful work. And you're stepping, you've stepped at, I think I sense you've stepped out of the medicine woman and you're stepping into the world. Like you, that's always going to be in you, always. But like you just had a huge chapter of going back to the ancestral medicine. And now you're taking that into the world.
Yes.
So that's very, very, very exciting. Wow. And thank you for, I don't know how many wows I said all of this conversation. Wow. Wow.
Well, I think she's wowing because I was a freaking mess.
No such thing.
Consciously. But for real, I want to share with people again, like not to make my hero's journey and try to put myself down. I didn't start off here.
None of us do.
But none of us do. And it's a journey of unfolding, you know, and here's, I guess, the thing that I do differently is like I listen, I hear, I get an idea, and then I'm unattached to like whether it works or not. Like I was like, Portugal, okay, that didn't work. Like London, let's try that, you know? Then I'm in London, and it's like that had its moment. Then my place got broken into, and then I'm like, okay, London chapter is done. Like here, and you know, it's like wherever you are, like there you're meant to be,
right?
You know, and even I'm speaking about this in like location wise, but it could also be in like your careers, trying different things, you know, could be in your relationships, dating different people, friendships, everything changes. And that's, I think, the biggest lesson I continue to learn. Never be attached to like, and this is what it is. Because the moment you become attached to it, it evaporates, right? But instead, if you're just finding joy in whatever chapter you're in, then it doesn't actually really matter what's happening.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And the beautiful thing you do through it is become vulnerable and share it. And that's what changes somebody's perception. So thank you for your vulnerable, beautiful heart. And the last thing I'll ask you is one piece in your heart that you would share with youth today, that you would share with the young. Like, I know we shared a lot, but like something that comes from your heart that you would share with somebody that's going through the journey.
Well, for youth, I would definitely drop the idea that you're going to get the approval of your parents on your path. Yeah. Some parents are very, you know, supportive of anyone's decision. That's amazing. But if you have like brown parents, they're probably not.
We would know.
They are part of your initiation. And, you know, I had to really let go of getting the approval, the pat on the head, that you're good enough, we're proud of you. Just let it go and live this life for yourself. And the beautiful thing that happens, and it took me a decade, but by doing that, eventually they do feel proud of you, and they do feel all those things, even if they can or cannot say it. But ultimately, it's you at the end of the day. Your family is going to die. You're the one that you're going to end up with at the end of the day. So please don't make decisions for anyone else's approval, because they're not going to be in your life forever.
All that. Thank you. Thank you for being with us, Sahara. And it's been beautiful to just share the space with you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the episode with Sahara. Here below are the links to listen to her podcast and find her work online. She hosts masterclasses and community events where she not only teaches you how to write your own book, but to become a coach and her coaching institute. All the links below.